Assalamu alaikum. The date is 28th July 2025. Time is 15:39, and we will be trading AMD. We can trade Tesla too, but just to switch things up, we are going with AMD. AMD is also in the news. The news is average selling price of MI350 AI chip reportedly increased to USD 25,000 from USD 15,000, indicating strong demand for advanced AI hardware. What we need to focus on why this matters: retail traders can use futures and chip sector headlines as early indicators for tech and growth stock sentiment. The Samsung, Tesla, and AMD chip updates highlight where capital and innovation are flowing in tech. This is the other Samsung Tesla news. Samsung secures a USD 16.5 billion deal to produce Tesla's next gen AI 6 chips through 2033, marking a significant win for its foundry division, which I think will be launched in Texas. So US is pretty excited for that. And so there is both AMD and Tesla, but we are going with AMD today. That is all that we need to focus on for US trade equities. The rest is the highlight of today's session is EU-US trade deal. US is tariffing EU 15%, except metals. Copper is taxed. I think metals are taxed at 50%, 50, and the rest is at 15%. And there are some non-tariff uh, commodities as well. So that is interesting. The other highlight is that US plans on meeting Chinese delegation to extend the 90-day deadline. That is something else that we need to keep an eye on. If that deadline is not extended, that would be really bearish news for the market. For retail traders, political instability in Japan and anticipation around BOJ guidance could offer directional clues for JPY and Japanese equities. In China, policy clarity and trade progress remain essential for a risk-on sentiment. We're really focusing more on China, less on Japan, because Japan we don't care, and we don't trade forex, so we really don't care. We are seeing a very similar behavior in APAC and European mixed session. Initially, there were strong gains, and then for the rest of the session, it was mixed, profit taking and slight fading. So, yeah, US futures modest gains across the board, echoing optimism on trade deal, and but tempered by caution ahead of macro catalysts. The economic calendar today is light, but the rest of the week is heavy. Uh, yeah, okay, we are here. Daily US equity open news. The day ahead is all of this. I think I've already covered all the important ones. We will be focusing on the week ahead. The week ahead includes trade talks and deadlines, policy meeting from Fed, BOJ, BOC, US jobs data, ISM manufacturing PMI, all of that is important. The Treasury's quarterly refunding announcement that I do not know what it is. US PCE inflation data, Eurozone CPI and GDP. We don't care about Eurozone, as well as Australian CPI, but I guess we can focus on the global. The corporate reporting slate is also busy with notable companies including UNHPG, VQcom, MSFT, Meta, MA, Amazon, Apple, and XOM. The rest of the news is between US, EU, 15% import tariff on EU goods. US chip imports. The Trump administration will announce results of a national security probe into semiconductor imports in 2 weeks. Commerce Secretary Lutnick said President Trump indicated higher tariffs might follow. The probe under Section 232 could lead to tariff on semiconductors and pharmaceuticals, part of broader trade actions, including a new 15% tariff deal with the EU. I would like to add that in the deal includes 600 billion investment, EU investment in the US, increased EU energy and defense purchases, and covers car, pharmaceuticals, and semiconductors. The US steel and aluminum tariffs remain at 50% but may fall later. So, and then there is a whole discussion about US China. That is a long story. There'll be a lot of back and forth. Something that we need to keep an eye on, because development between US and China could indicate more risk on sentiment. So that is something that we should keep an eye on. But we are more focused on the more broad impact of US China relationship, rather than minute minute movements, because we're looking for like some strong development on which we can take action. So we're not particularly impressed by all these small noise news, I would say. I will quickly scroll through rest of the news, just save myself for the future. Okay, that that wraps up everything that is important. So we are trading AMD. Let's now quit this day. Okay, I have saved. Interesting. So if we take a look at AMD is trading above this high volume zone and below high volume zone at, I mean, in 165 to 170 is one high volume zone. Let's call it zone 1. And zone 2 is 176.5 to 180. So there is a small price vacuum at from 170 to 175. The stock doesn't trade a lot of volume in this area because I think a price below 170 means that the stock is bearish, and a price above 170 means that people have high expectations of this stock, is what am I understanding. Let's go and take analyst recommended rated price. Analyst rated price is minimum of 111, average 145, and current 166. Max is 200. Depending on how the company performs and how much the stock rallies, this can obviously change in the future, but considering the current analyst sentiment and judgment, they say 145 is what we should expect from this stock. Now, the stock's highest was 225, where it was shot down with volume. I think we were seeing a lot of insider selling, and that made the public bearish on AMD. Could not hold the highs, but very properly held the lows, I would say. It held the lows very, very nicely. It dropped down. It dropped down all the way to 75, but then rallied all the way up to 69. This entire rally was in one go, one momentum. We did not see any consolidation in the rally from 80 to 169, 170. I would say from 80 to 170, it was in one go, indicating that people are extremely bullish on AMD. That is interesting. That is interesting. How do we perceive this? Should we expect the bullish momentum to continue? There were some pullbacks. There were some very natural, decent pullbacks, but there was no consolidation. There was no long sideways consolidation in this upward move from 75, which started on 8th April. 8th April onwards, the company just kept rallying. Interesting. So we are trying to understand the stock behavior in this 170 to 175 price vacuum. We will not be trading for more than 45 minutes, the first 45 minutes. Let me quickly take a look at the economic calendar. Does the economic calendar suggest anything important? No. So the market should be dictated by, since we use the efficient market concept, I assume that the 169.99 price accommodates all of the previous EU sentiment and all of that, all the previous news that has come out. We are going to be placing our bets on future expectations of market participants, expectation of future behavior of the market participants. With all of that said, we should mark 175 as the upper limit, just one of those important areas that I do not expect to be broken easily. It will be 175 because that is where all the meaningful sellers should be. 175 is one of those areas where we can expect the stock to come down. If we do a volume profile, let me get rid of this blue line. If we do a volume, I need to delete it from this, all the way till here. Let me pull this back. The max volume that was ever done was 138 area, and the stock tried to jump above that area. Let's say 135 was that area that the stock did not want to go below. It held 135. So it jumped up and then it tried to hold that level. That was the previous behavior we saw. If we go lower, are there any high volume areas? Yeah, there we have a high volume area from 110 to 120, let's say. In this, we saw some consolidation, we saw some sideways behavior actually. The stock stayed between 120 to 110 for 14th May to 16th, 15th June. So 1 month, I would say. The stock tried to bargain this level. And then finally it broke upwards and it kept moving up. We might be now shifting into a more consolidatory style of trading. People are going to test this level out, air this level out, see if this level has buyers. We should see some desperate sellers. We might see some committed buyers. Should we see any desperate buyers though? I mean, unless AMD is breaking any important levels, we should not be seeing any desperate buyers. So we are taking a more cautious approach. If the stock opens and rallies upwards, we will attribute that move to the desperate buyers. We will say that these desperate buyers have offset the momentum that the market was supposed to open with. They have created an opportunity by, how do we say it? By creating an imbalance, I would say, by creating a rift. And we can short the stock at 175, I would argue. Now, the price should break 175 and go higher if there is a mix of both committed buyers and desperate buyers. But will we see something like this? Maybe. Since the stock is jumping from one node to another, one high volume node to another high volume node, we might see desperate buyers, the ones who want to enter before the stock reaches 175. There might also be some buyers who might expect 175 to act as resistance, expect the price to pull back, and then enter. The ones who are desperately buying, they don't expect the price to stop at 175. The ones who are going to buy at the pullback from 175 to maybe 166 or something like that, they expect 175 to act as resistance. Who is going to be stronger? Naturally, the committed buyers are going to be stronger. Now, we want to weigh and check between the buyers and sellers who are going to be stronger because because the winner might be more in control during the open, or if the loser creates an imbalance by pushing the price to one side, that might give the winner a better opportunity to enter. For example, if the sellers are the losers and they are driving the price down, that gives buyers a good opportunity to enter at a lower price. So that could be one train of thought that can be pursued. But so, I mean, considering that logic, who do we expect should be strong today? I think the buyers are going to be strong only if they see other buyers participate. Sellers might or might not be strong depending on how other sellers are participating. Suppose we see selling today, doesn't mean that everyone is going to try and sell. But if we see buying today, maybe the others are going to try and buy. So, in a sense, this creates a very unique dynamic between the buyers and the sellers. That buyers should be desperate depending on how the other buyers are behaving. So, but the desperate sellers are going to be more, they're not going to. Yeah, desperate sellers won't be dependent on other sellers on how the other sellers are behaving. Any seller who thinks this is a good price, who may be entered towards the lows, maybe in this area. If any seller wants to get out now, if he bought at the highs, these kind of sellers, the ones who want to profit take, the ones who want to take their stop loss or something, they are not going to behave, or they're not going to react based on how the other sellers are acting. They simply want out. So I think 175 or 176, one of these areas is going to be that level where the sellers think is good level, and they might commit to this level entirely today. They might think, if I'm getting 175, fair enough, I don't mind getting out. And yeah, I think today I expect to see some selling at the open, followed with some buying, followed with some sustained buying. So I'm gonna try and get in a short at the open. What if I am wrong? If I am wrong, I will take a quick stop loss. Actually, first let me go take a look at the pre-market. Sorry, the pre-market was open. The pre-market is showing sustained buying. It is showing, the first the price consolidated between 169 to 169.5, and then it broke upwards, and now it's trying to hold 170. We are seeing some sellers participate, but the price natural momentum is upwards. If let's develop if then statements instead of saying that this will happen. If the stock opens and shoots upwards, that means there is a presence of desperate buyers who think that AMD can break 175 today or tomorrow or maybe this week, because AMD's ATR is not very high. There are certain buyers who think this will tell us one thing. If the stock goes all the way up to 175 and then it's shot down, that would suggest that this 175 level has committed sellers, which might overwhelm the desperate buyers, and the stock might either trend down or range for the rest of the day. Okay, what if the stock opens and falls down? That would be predictable behavior, I would say. That would mean that the desperate sellers wanted out, and then after they were out, the committed buyers held themselves at maybe 169 or the area below 169 and just rallied the price. We will further investigate what should be the price most attractive to the buyers, and if 169 is not held, what does that mean? If the price opens high and stays high, the price opens at 170, goes all the way up to 173, 174, it's shot down a little bit, maybe from 174 to 173 or 173.5, and then continues an upward trend to 175. That is showing sustained buying, especially if you're seeing price try to stay above the view app. If the price is trying to stay above the view app, I would guess that both the committed and desperate buyers are in today, and the price is going to stay high. I will not take a short then. Under that circumstance, I will not take a short at 175. So let me turn the view app on, because view app, okay, I need to turn the view app on my other graph, which already has view app. Okay. If the price is trying to stay above the view app, I'm not taking a short. If the price frequently crosses below the view app, maybe it ranges, something like that, then I might take a short at 175, 174. Okay. What else can happen, Imad? Price opens, rallies upwards, falls. Price opens, rallies upwards, sustains. Price opens, falls. Price opens and ranges. Okay, let's try to figure that one out. Price opens and ranges. Price opens and ranges, that means the stock has opened at fair value and there is nothing we can do to trade the stock. It's best to stay out of the stock, or maybe try to scalp based on the DOM. That would be the only other sustainable option. So, a move all the way up to 175 is simply not possible for AMD. It's just way too much. It's beyond its ATR. A big move for AMD is 163 to 167, $4. And I think that is big move for AMD. How much ATR does it give? 159 to 163. At the open, 162. So maybe $3. Expecting it to touch 175 is impossible. Let's plan further. What does it mean if the stock opens and goes low? What is the lowest it can go? 167, 167.5. Let's mark 167.5 as today's lowest. If it goes below that, we have to become bearish. We simply have to. If it's sustaining 168.5, then we are a bit more bullish on AMD, indicating that buyers are showing some level of front running. They're trying to hold 168.5, and 167.5 is an important level. That would be interesting to see. The highs Today's highs are going to be based on the DOM. We expect somewhere in 173, 173.5 to be the highs. 172.5 can be good area where we expect the highs to be at. Let me. So the stock opens, rallies upwards, gets short down. This is scenario number one. Scenario number two is that stock opens, goes upwards, and tries to stay above the view app. Scenario number three, the stock opens, dips down into the 168 to 167.5 zone. It's on desperate selling. Test to check if buyers are present, and then in the second half it rallies. And scenario number four is that the stock moves sideways. Test 168.5. Actually, no. Scenario number four is it tests 168.5, and then we just see front running and the stock rallies to 172, 173, something like that. And scenario number five is that the stock moves sideways in a very uninteresting behavior, suggesting that it has found fair value. These are the five scenarios that we will trade today. I'm going to pause the video. We still have 25 minutes left. I'm going to take a short break. And then when the market opens, we will, inshallah, continue trading, see how the session goes, learn from our mistakes, and continue trading tomorrow as well. See you in 25 minutes, okay? Market opens in 20 seconds. 8 seconds now. Our important levels are 168.5. Okay, we expect some level of selling first. That selling is being held and being pushed upwards. Okay, interesting. If we look at the DOM, we see a lot of buy orders, a lot of sell orders at 170. So I think this is where we expect the price to fall only till maybe 167.5, 168. And then there might be either quick recovery or slow recovery. That is slightly unknown. So yeah, we want the price to rally, but we don't want the price to stay above the view app. That is crucial. The price is rallying. Okay, I expect a rally till 172. A bit unclean, so I think we can participate, go long maybe. Is this the best price though? No, it's not the best price. Okay, the stock rallies, goes to 170.5, then falls, recovers, then the market opened choppy. But we can get an opportunity as long as we stay patient. Volume is, I understand. Okay, Delta was very positive in the previous candle at 200k. Are we seeing sustained buying? That is very positive buying. We see 171 fail again. I'm at least expecting 172. We don't expect any selling price to be revisited. If a level is strong, the price is just going to be, it's just going to fall. I don't expect the price to be revisited. Okay, 30k buyers at this 171.2 level. We were expecting 171.5 as the highest. I did not participate. Let's see how, let us see it try again. Okay, I'm putting a quick sell order at this price. I don't know. I clicked sell, I don't know when. Not triggered. Let's enter market. Put SL. Uh-huh. What is wrong with TradingView, man? My sell limit order was not triggered. Then I used a market order to enter. So we saw some unexpected, or let's say stray uh, buyers that pushed the price upwards. Actually, if we look at the delta is suggesting that the sellers were a bit stronger, but still failed to push the price down. That is okay. Now our order was triggered. The idea was to enter with like a small size at this level. And uh, yeah, maybe let it move up. I don't know the exact price at which it's supposed to fall, but it has demonstrated strength at 170.3. So we're gonna wait a bit. We're gonna wait before we trade a reversal. 172 is seeing 64,000 sell orders. We're seeing big sell orders. People are selling very confidently. You know, they've just left their orders. They're not trying to play any level. They're selling confidently as if they expect the price to come visit this level again and just, okay, if we get the price, okay, if we don't get the price, still okay. So is 172 that area where I should have entered? I cannot tell. Let's try entering. I think we're supposed to enter a few times. Nah, okay. Fails again. Orders at 172 were replenished. 60,000 buyers. It needs 60,000 delta. Let's try going short here and let's try putting our SL above 172. Can we see 60,000 buyers? Can we see 68,000 buyers? Goes up to that level. Okay, 13,000. Still not enough. Okay, we saw 70,000 buyers. Wow, very nice. I'm surprised. I don't expect this level to be broken whatsoever. At least not now. If this level is broken, then I go short again. I was stopped out in my previous position. I go short again. Again, tight stop loss. This time I go short with a bit more size. Because this feels like a trapped buyer setup. I'm seeing big size and suddenly bought. Generally, it means that this is not the sentiment of the entire market. It was the sentiment of this one group, which can influence the decision of the other participants as well. But it's not the sentiment of the entire market, is what I believe. Let's give it some breathing room. Let's give it some breathing room. So I guess 172.5 was the level that. Okay, sellers were absorbed. 15,000 sellers and they were all ignored. Do we have to sit and wait till 175? Because I don't know. Forget view app. The stock is trying to stay above EMA, I would say. But that doesn't mean that it's long for the entire day. It's entirely possible that it goes to 174 area, 173 area, and then falls very beautifully. So what we can do is that we can capitalize on that and put big sell order at 174 and just leave it open for the rest of the day. But we will not do that because we day trade and we need to sit and watch the stock and then make the decision. Very boring life. Buyers try to push the price. Sellers tried pushing the price down and they're being absorbed again and again, which is really speaking volumes about their behavior. Maybe we expect the buyers to slow down now. Now that they're approaching 173, we might expect that the sellers should start showing more and more commitment. Are the buyers desperate enough to beat the committed sellers? I don't think so. The sellers have a lot more reason to be short today, to sell today, than the buyers have to buy. I mean, buyers have less reason to buy compared to sellers who have more reasons to sell, I would say. So we try entering again at 172.2 with 500 size. Interesting. Yeah, let's go with 500 size. Stock falls not very nicely. Sellers were absorbed again, but sellers were dominant at this level. I think 173.5 is the upper limit, or 174 is the upper limit. It's hard to tell. Anyway, I think that I will not be able to take any trades in the first 30 to 45 minutes like I was expecting. All my trades are going wrong. I 173 is being disrespected. Sorry, it's being respected from seller's point of view. Let's see how the stock behaves at 173 one more time. Let's see it push one more time to 173. Sellers are stepping up at 173. A bit messy. Let's enter 500 market. 500 limit. I feel like 173 is the upper limit of today's session. The stock aims to it can fall down, recover, and then move up to 175. That is entirely possible as well. I won't lie. The sellers initially tried at 171. They initially pushed the price down, but upon seeing buyer strength, they quickly pulled away. They did not force this price. So sellers are being smart. We can say that the sellers today are smart money and they're not going to simply drive the price down. Sometimes it's not best to trade with smart money because, well, they trade smart. That means even you need to trade smart. But the other advantage is that you can be confident that there are sellers, maybe not at 173, but at say 174, maybe at 175. At some point, they will show themselves. So that is something you can be confident in if you're trading with smart money, but you need to trade smart, I would say. You can't trade like me. You need to trade better. I'm going to let the stock run for a bit. Sorry, I'm going to let the recording run for a bit. Okay, this interaction was very interesting because we are seeing. I might be wrong again, but we are seeing the desperate buyers lose steam and the desperate sellers step on the gas. So that can be very interesting for us. Uh, but again, I might be wrong entirely. So let's just wait and see. There are 150,000 sell orders at 175. I don't think the market is breaking that at all. My entries were horrible, but I would like to say the concept was correct because I was expecting 174, 175 to be important. So I'm just still holding the short, even though I've entered at 172.5, which is a horrible price to enter. But I need to refine my execution. I need to refine my trading. Planning might be okay, but my executions really suffer. I need to work on it. Okay, I want to say that I'm not liking how the stock is holding 174. I One of our conditions was that the stock should not hold any of the upper levels for us to be bearish. But the stock is holding 174. What does that mean? Okay, we see big sell orders at 174. That is not news. But what does holding 174 mean? Although it's not holding with any big volume, it is still holding. The stock market is holding this level. It might fall, but we are not seeing any desperate sellers. That is one thing for sure. No one saw this big sell order and tried to desperately sell. That is an important observation, I would say. There's just a big sell order and people are buying into that sell order. Really tried pushing. It's like a big wall. That wall is not going anywhere. One of the most interesting fights I've seen. Okay, the wall was broken. 200,000 buyers, and the wall was broken. Yeah. I don't know how I should interpret it, but I'm glad I saw this today, and it's something I'll keep a note of. My short position at 172.5 is still open, and I'm just gonna let this run because I want to see how the stock behaves now. It's I don't know how I should interpret this if I see this in the future, but I'm excited to see what it means. I want this part to be written in the additional notes. Please make sure that it's written in the additional notes. Okay, this is rather interesting. The 174 level that was broken is not being held. Sellers are stepping down and buyers are letting them. So I don't know how to interpret that. Did someone just give the buyers a lot of liquidity? I don't know how to interpret this at all. Like, what is this supposed to mean? I want all of this to be written down in the additional notes. I mean, I'm saving this for my own reference. Okay, it's me again. And I'm planning on stopping the video here. As you can see, the stock failed 174.5 level, the level that we had marked as important. Sorry, the level that we had marked as important. 172.5 was that area where that should have failed if the sellers were strong, but 175 is where we should have seen committed sellers, and we are seeing committed sellers at this level. The sellers are not desperate though, because of course it's a bull market. I was expecting the sellers to be desperate. There was an error in my part, but this was part of the plan that the stock opens, rallies upwards, and then falls. So it is something I should have considered, and I did consider. I just traded against it out of impatience. One interesting thing we saw was the 174 level, how we saw 100,000 buyers at that level, but it was not held. And then the stock started falling from there, something we can keep in mind for future references. And I will stop the video here. I think it was a good learning session for me, and I hopefully you both. Inshallah, see you tomorrow. Inshallah, I'll close my position at a minus $350 loss. I was making money temporarily, $5, but it's okay. Inshallah, see you tomorrow. Take care of yourself, okay?